Right, so I've got my little color wheel. Just wanted to show you a little trick that is very useful. On the color wheel, the opposite color to yellow is violet. So I'm thinking, if my main color is yellow, the opposite color is violet. So if I want this yellow balloon to pop even more, I must use its contrasting color right next to it. So I've decided to make my background even darker, especially here around the top, and I'm going to be using my Payne's Grey, but I'm going to do a wash of dioxazine violet. Now, dioxazine violet is also translucent. It can be quite dark, but because of its translucent properties, if I activate my brush, you can see if I drag it away, what a beautiful violet hue that is. So let's play with a little bit of the violet here as a wash over our background. So again, just enhancing, not taking away, not trying to cover up. I'm not painting a wall. Try to do a glaze of the violet. And because the violet is also next to the reds, it will also complement the red balloons. So that is a lot of fun. So I'm going to bring in darker violet here and just connect this little space here. And now what's happening is this background balloon that we have enhanced with a little bit of black, the tint or the shade, sorry, forgive me, the shade we created here. When the violet is next to it, it almost makes it look a little bit more golden. So I'm going to switch to my Payne's Grey now on this side, just for interest's sake, so that it's not all predictable. And I'm still mindful of that little halo space that I'm leaving, because it's helping me now. It's looking like a little bit of a highlight on that string. So I'm just doing a bit of a mixture here with the Payne's Grey and the dioxazine violet, purple, so that the two speak to each other. And of course the violet will also complement the pink. So just a light glaze of that is already helpful. So let's allow that to dry, rinsing off. And I'm going to come back to my turquoise here, because I feel this turquoise also needs a little bit of a highlight. So I have dispensed a little bit of white here, and I'm going to mix just a lighter tint of my turquoise. Drop of water just to activate it a little bit more. But I also don't want it to be this bright, so I'm going to add a little bit of this Payne's Grey into it to just flatten it down a little bit, even though it's a lighter shade, a lighter tint. I'm mixing a tone by adding grey to it, so it's a lighter tint tone. all these terminologies, but it's important because then we understand each other. So it's lighter. Let's test it here. Yes, it is, but it's also toned down a little bit, so it's a little bit more gray. I'm going to add some of this to my turquoise space, and again I can use this to define some of these spaces. So a little trick that we learn as we mix shades and tones and tints is when you use some naturals or more muted earthy tones along with brighter tones, what happens is the brighter tone stands out more. So it's very helpful if you want a particular color to stand out more, to play with some neutrals or natural tones around it so that the main colors can stand out or pop out even more. So the vibrancy of the oranges and the reds has just increased a little bit because we are using a muted tone in the background. I'm going to enhance these circle shapes one more time with yet another lighter version of my color. So using my titanium white again to mix a lighter tone will be helpful. So again, I'm bringing some of my white into this space, and now we're going to mix our highlight, and we will use the least of this. So you can see this is much lighter, so I'm going to enhance just a small area. And I'm almost sticking to the same side now. And again, mindful not to lose any of my previous colors that I've placed down. Let's add some more here. Not just that, here and there. And I'm going to do the same with my coral orange. So I'm going to use quite a bit of the white, and maybe now bring in a little bit more of the yellow, because yellow also reflects a little bit more light. And I'm going to play with that on these different ones as well. So you can see how this just brightens up the piece, because we've got different values, different shades, different hues, and it's bringing up more contrast, more visual interest, more drama. I'm going to add some to this side of it. Why not? We're using the design principle of repetition and harmony by just using a color that we've got on different parts of our painting. I'm going to allow this to dry, and when we come back we're going to do our final highlights and lowlights. Right, before we can do our final highlights and lowlights on this piece, we need to add another layer. I think we can brighten this piece up a little bit more by adding another layer of color to our balloons. So I think what I'm going to do with the yellow is I'm going to use the pure yellow again as just another layer, especially here around the bottom part of my balloon, and that should solidify this part of the balloon really as the brightest yellow. I think this orange balloon can do with a layer of real orange. Forgive my noisiness. I just needed to find my orange, sorry. So I'm gonna just add some pure orange to this part of the balloon. Forgive me as I get some orange out of my tube. There we go. So I thought like a pure bright cadmium orange might be more interesting over this layer. And again, I'm not trying to add or cover up anything. I'm just adding a layer. I think the red balloon, quite frankly, can do with some orange as well. So I'm bringing in some orange over here, because as the light filters through the balloon with these other balloons around it, you will have some cast light and some variance of your shades. Let's add a bit of orange here as well. We will definitely see a little bit of orange on this balloon as well. I'm just thinking of what impact the other colors around it will have. So maybe in a way adding that will enhance the balloons for us. Okay, let's play with a little bit of the magenta again. So you can see adding layers to the painting adds some interest. So I'm crossing over with some of my magenta here into the red balloon. Because I think this will reflect a little bit on that. And that goes for this section as well. So I'm using my brush very lightly now. I'm lightly dragging over this yellow with my brush, almost dry brushing some of this color, but I'm using my brush in a round way, so I want the textures underneath to capture the paint, and working my way up around this round sphere. Let's get some pure red again in here. Okay, I need some pure yellow again. So I'm just making sure that my brush is really clean, because I don't want to contaminate my colors. So again, adding a layer of yellow, pushing back some of the other colors that I brought into the space. Here as well, softening that a little bit so that it reads again a little bit more as yellow. And remember, yellow is also translucent, so but you can see how that's enhancing. So I'm going to use a bit of yellow with a bit of white. That's too much, a little bit. On there, let me just wipe off some of the paint, because I just want to blend this in a little bit. And I'm going to just bring in some yellow here around this bright spot here, blending these colors together because they're not dry yet. I'm just cleaning that up and just coming back to my yellow. I'm gonna add some yellow here as well, rubbing off. You can see if you've got too much paint on your paintbrush, you can always just rub it off on a paper towel in order to give yourself time to mix some colors on your palette. Rinsing off, getting rid of the water, coming back in with a little bit of pink here. Just want to blend these hues together a little bit more, and again a little bit more brighter orange won't hurt. And again some bright red over here. Switching back to the yellow shade color that we have here, but I'm adding a bit more yellow to it so it's a little bit lighter. Just blending some of those reflection colors into the background, so it's not so loud and obvious, but it is there, speaking about this particular balloon in the background. Right, I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to allow this to dry, and then when we come back, we will really do our last highlights and lowlights.